You think you are doing better than your parents. You look at your university degree, your finance car, and your corporate job title, and you feel a sense of pride. You believe that because you wear designer clothes and order premium food delivery, you are successful. You are completely delusional. From a mathematical standpoint, you are financially weaker than a peasant from 100 years ago. You do not own land. You do not own cash flowing assets. You are drowning in consumer debt, and you are entirely dependent on a corporation to feed you every 2 weeks. You are not wealthy. You are a highly domesticated animal living in a financial zoo. And today, I am going to show you exactly why your brain prefers the illusion of fake wealth over the brutal reality of actual freedom. In the next few minutes, we are going to break down the clinical psychology of the middle-class ego. We are going to expose the 4 biological mechanisms that keep intelligent, educated people trapped in perpetual financial mediocrity. You will understand the evolutionary science of status signaling. You will see how the corporate system uses the exact same psychology as animal trainers to keep you compliant. You will learn the neurochemistry of lifestyle inflation. And finally, you will discover the terrifying reason why your brain secretly wants you to stay broke. Pause and write this down right now. Your ego is the most expensive liability you own. It costs you millions of dollars over your lifetime. If you do not learn to ruthlessly execute your own ego, the financial system will use it to enslave you forever. Let us start with the biological root of your financial self-sabotage. It is a concept known in evolutionary psychology as status signaling. Society tells you that buying luxury items is just a matter of personal taste. You tell yourself that you bought the BMW because you appreciate German engineering. You tell yourself you bought the designer watch because of the craftsmanship. That is a lie. Your prefrontal cortex invented to justify the primitive demands of your amygdala. Here is the brutal evolutionary truth. 10,000 years ago, human beings lived in tribes of about 150 people. In that primitive environment, your status within the tribe dictated your survival. If you were at the bottom of the hierarchy, you did not get access to food, you did not get shelter, and you did not reproduce. To survive, the human brain evolved a hypersensitive radar for social hierarchy. It wired itself to constantly signal value to the rest of the tribe. Fast forward to the modern economy, and your brain is still running that exact same primitive software. But instead of hunting large animals to prove your worth, you buy depreciating liabilities. Wall Street and corporate marketers understand your evolutionary biology better than you do. They know that your brain is terrified of looking poor because, historically, looking poor meant death. So, they engineered synthetic status. They convinced your primitive brain that a piece of plastic with a brand logo on it proves your value to the tribe. When you finance a $50,000 car on a $60,000 salary, you are not buying transportation. You are buying an incredibly expensive psychological shield to hide your insecurities from strangers in traffic. The financial elite do not play this game. They understand that true wealth is silent and debt is loud. While the middle class bleeds their net worth to buy synthetic status, the 1% wear plain clothes, drive reliable cars, and quietly hoard cash-flowing assets. They do not need to signal their value to the tribe because they own the ground the tribe is standing on. But synthetic status is only the first layer of the middle-class prison. To keep you permanently compliant, the system had to domesticate your ambition, and they did it using a psychological mechanism perfected in the 1950s. You are a rat in a corporate cage. Harvard psychologist B.F. Skinner is famous for his experiments on operant conditioning. He placed rats in a cage with a simple lever. When the rat pressed the lever, a pellet of food dropped out. Skinner discovered that by manipulating the timing and frequency of the food, he could control the behavior of the animal with absolute, terrifying precision. He created 2 primary systems. The first was a fixed ratio schedule. The rat pressed the lever and received food at a highly predictable interval. The rat learned the exact minimum amount of effort required to get fed. It became comfortable, lazy, and entirely dependent on the dispenser. The modern corporate salary is a perfectly executed fixed ratio schedule. You show up for 40 hours. You press the lever. You receive your bi-weekly paycheck. It is just enough money to keep you comfortable, just enough to pay the interest on your debt, and just enough to prevent you from taking the massive risks required to escape. The predictability of the salary tranquilizes your survival instinct. The middle class is the most dangerous psychological place to exist because it is comfortable. If you are in absolute, crushing poverty, your survival instinct kicks in. The pain forces you to fight. If you are incredibly wealthy, you have the capital to multiply your leverage. But the middle class is a padded cell. You are not poor enough to rebel, and you are not rich enough to be free. When you accept a predictable salary and trade your finite hours on earth for a fixed sum, you are allowing the system to cap your upside while you absorb all the inflation risk. The system conditions you to fear the wild, unpredictable open market. It teaches you that entrepreneurship and investing are dangerous while the cage is safe. But the cage is an illusion. The moment the corporation decides your lever's obsolete, the food stops dropping and you realize you never actually owned anything. So why do intelligent people stay in the cage? Why do they keep running on the treadmill, upgrading their cell and pretending they are free? That brings us to the third biological mechanism, hedonic adaptation, the neurochemistry of never enough. The human brain is a master of recalibration. Whenever you experience a significant positive change in your life, a raise, a new car, a bigger house, your brain delivers a massive spike of dopamine. You feel incredibly happy. You feel like you finally made it. But neurochemistry is a zero-sum game. Within a few months, your brain resets its baseline. The luxury car you finance just becomes the car you drive to work. The massive house just becomes the place you sleep. The dopamine disappears, but the debt you took on to acquire them remains. This is the hedonic treadmill. High-income earners are the most frequent victims of this trap. A doctor finishes residency and goes from making $60,000 a year to $300,000 a year. Instead of living like a resident for 5 more years and building a massive gap of wealth, their ego demands an immediate upgrade. They lease the luxury SUV. They buy the massive house in the best school district. They increase their consumption in direct parallel proportion to their income. They make $300,000, but they spend $295,000. Mathematically, their net worth is exactly the same as the janitor cleaning their hospital. They have trapped themselves in a cycle where they must work high-stress 80-hour weeks just to service the massive fixed costs of their synthetic status. They are rich on paper, but completely broke in reality. Hedonic adaptation ensures that no matter how much the system pays you, your brain will normalize the comfort and demand more, forcing you to remain on the treadmill until you die. If you want to escape this, you must artificially construct a ceiling on your consumption. The wealthy do not let their expenses rise with their income. They freeze their lifestyle, cap their ego, and shovel the massive difference into investments. They buy their freedom first, and they buy their luxuries with the dividends of that freedom. But even if you understand status signaling, even if you see the trap of the salary, and even if you master your hedonic treadmill, there is one final, ultimate psychological barrier. It is the darkest secret of the human mind. You secretly want to stay poor. This sounds insane. Nobody consciously wants to struggle financially, but subconsciously, your brain is terrified of success because success destroys your excuses. This is the biological phenomenon of cognitive dissonance and identity protection. If you look at the life of the chronically broke, middle-class individual, their entire identity is wrapped up in victimhood. They bond with their coworkers by complaining about the boss. They bond with their friends by complaining about the economy, the government, and the unfairness of the rich. Complaining is their primary social currency. When you blame the external world for your poverty, your ego is perfectly safe. It is not your fault that you are broke. It is the system's fault. It is the Federal Reserve's fault. It is Wall Street's fault. By maintaining the identity of a victim, you never have to face the humiliating reality of your own failures. If you actually took radical dictatorial ownership of your financial life, you would have to admit a terrifying truth. You are broke because of the decisions you made. You are broke because you spent thousands of hours watching television instead of learning high-income skills. You are broke because you bought things you could not afford to impress people who do not care about you. The human ego cannot survive that level of accountability. It will do anything to protect itself from that pain. So, your brain actively sabotages you. When you try to save money, your brain triggers anxiety, convincing you that you deserve a treat. When you try to start a business, your brain floods you with fear of failure. It is better for the ego to never try and blame the system than to try with absolute effort and fail. The victim identity is a biological defense mechanism against the pain of extreme accountability. It is time to murder your ego. The 1%, the individuals who build massive generational wealth, operate on a completely different psychological paradigm. They have ruthlessly executed their middle-class ego. They do not care if they look poor. They do not care what their neighbors think of their 10-year-old car. They do not complain about the macroeconomic environment because they know complaining is the mating call of a loser. They take absolute, extreme ownership of everything. If the market crashes, it is their fault for not hedging. If their business fails, it is their fault for poor execution. By accepting the blame for everything, they retain the power to change everything. The system relies on your ego. It is the foundation of their entire business model. They need you to be desperate for status. They need you to be terrified of losing your bi-weekly pellet of food. They need you to constantly upgrade your lifestyle. And above all, they need you to remain a professional victim, begging politicians to save you while Wall Street buys up your neighborhood. As long as you protect your ego, you will remain poor. The moment you decide to shatter your identity, lower your status, live below your means, and take terrifying levels of accountability, the illusion breaks. You stop playing the game the system designed for you, and you start playing the game of the elite. While the 99% drown in debt to look rich, you choose to be invisible and become rich. While the middle class complains about the economy, you extract leverage from it. That is not just financial literacy, that is the ultimate psychological dominance. And it is the only way to escape the zoo. If you want to understand the invisible mechanics designed to extract your wealth, master the true psychology of money, and stop living as a target for Wall Street, subscribe to this channel. Protect your mind, choose your game.